and welcome to Austin News at noon. I'm Sally Fernandez.
And I'm Chris Willis. Good afternoon. Floodwaters are receding today in New Braunfels, but emergency conditions do remain.
Here are some of the shots from the air of the damage one day later. Downed power lines, dangerous debris. Have officials asking people to stay home unless they absolutely need to go out. One man died in Wednesday's floods. He's 65-year-old Norman Walker. Walker was camping along the Guadalupe River outside New Braunfels. Officials say that he got trapped by the swiftly rising water.
Meantime, Governor Perry is directing state resources to flood rescue and recovery efforts. He activated 5 military vehicles, 2 Black Hawk helicopters, and 3 swiftwater rescue teams. Our Kate Wida is live for us in New Braunfels, tracking the cleanup efforts. Damage estimates still coming in, and businesses working to reopen as soon as possible. Kate?
That's exactly right, Chris. You know, behind me is the Rockin R Tube rentals, and they were actually hit the hardest. You can see behind me, this is actually the rental building, or what used to be the rental building. The water rose so quickly yesterday, it simply crushed this building. But if you take a look down at the Guadalupe River now, you can see it's much different, even from this morning when we showed it to you. The water's back inside its banks, and the water is really back down. Now, it has been a lot of damage out here. For the folks at Rockin R, 3 dozen of their vehicles were destroyed or damaged by the water. Some of the buses that carried tubers were twisted and crushed by the water. The T-shirt shop is a 100% loss. Water rose nearly 4 to 5 feet inside, and today workers are taking the walls down and cleaning up to prevent mold and mildew from building up. But the biggest loss is their tubes. 5,000 tubes, or 85% of their tubes, were swept down river as the water rose.
We had probably a dozen or so trailers that were loaded with tubes, and then in the back we had the storage area full of tubes there as well. Have some upriver that also got hit that came out of their cages, which is with the high water. It actually raised our deck about 4 feet upriver, and the tubes were able to escape that way.
And the manager was actually telling us he's been getting calls from folks in Seguin and Lake Dunlap saying, hey, your tubes have washed up on my property. And actually online at KXAN.com right now, we have a map to show you just how far it is from here to Seguin. It's about 16 miles. So that's how far those tubes traveled yesterday during the flooding. And despite all this damage out here, Rockin R does hope to have things back open in just 2 weeks. Their Kamal location, though, is open. And I gave a call to a bunch of different tubing businesses in this area, and they said actually they were not affected by this by the storm. A lot of tubing businesses that are in Canyon Lake that are next to the Guadalupe said they are currently open for business. So really right now it looks like just Rockin R is the one that's mainly affected. We're live in New Braunfels. Kate Wida, KXAN, Austin News.
All right, Kate, and part of the popular water park Schlitterbahn went underwater as well. Crews cleaned up all night to get business back open this morning. Admission prices, they tell us, are drastically reduced for the day. And in fact, there were more than 800 calls for help that came into 911 early on Wednesday. 100 of those from people needing to be rescued or evacuated from their homes. Fred and Mary Lee Maxwell, both in their mid-80s, live along the Guadalupe River. They woke up to 2 feet of water in their living room Wednesday and planned to ride out the flood on a higher floor until a group of rescuers came by and insisted they get out. Here's YouTube video. Shows rescue crews on a lifeboat in the Kamal River. As you can see, there were several children riding on board.